Hi everybody, thanks for watching. In this video we're going to take a closer look at the lab rotation model of blended learning, and as we do so, hopefully you'll start to understand how to incorporate this particular model into your classroom. Let's actually start off with the definition for the lab rotation model. You saw a brief summarized version of this in Module 1. The full version says, within a given course or subject, students rotate at fixed points in time that can either be on a fixed schedule or at the teacher's discretion between a classroom and a computer lab. And in the computer lab, it's important that the students are learning predominantly online. The classroom is generally reserved for other, more traditional learning activities. You might also remember from Module 1 this graphic, which sort of summarizes the definition, simply showing how students are spending part of their time learning with direct instruction, and during the other part they rotate into a learning lab where they learn online. Now there's two important things here which we think need to be mentioned, and the first of which is that this is probably the simplest model for you to start to incorporate in terms of blended learning. And that's because for the most part you can still keep doing a lot of the traditional lessons if you like them and if you think they work well. But what's important for this coming year is that you start thinking about which lessons might not work so well, or which ones might work better if the students were able to learn at their own pace in some sort of online capacity. The second important note here is that the learning lab doesn't necessarily have to be a strictly defined computer lab in the school, especially if you work in a school that's one-to-one. The learning lab could simply be an area of the classroom where the students are allowed to use their devices, or simply a time when you instruct all the students to get their devices out and start some kind of learning activity online. We want to conclude this video by giving you some general examples of how this model might break down and how it could look in your class. So one way to do this is to rotate students into a lab during fixed times. You could set this on a weekly basis, where every Monday and Tuesday are always direct instruction days where you deliver content the same way you always have. One thing you might be changing here is that it's really important to start gathering data during this time so you have some information on what students understand and what they don't. And we'll give you some tips on how to do that later in this module. That's extra important because every Wednesday when they rotate into the learning lab, they get to work individually or in small groups where they focus on the specific things they didn't understand, working at their own pace and focusing on that mastery advancement that's so critical to blended learning. Then maybe on Thursday they rotate back for some more direct instruction. The teacher can gather more data on the progress of the students. So Friday could be the final learning lab day to give any students who are still struggling some extra help, and to give students who really understand the content of the week a chance to maybe dive deeper in some ways that they've never been able to before. If you don't like setting these times on a weekly basis, we also think that you could set up this type of a rotation within a given class period, where the first 10 minutes is some kind of a direct instruction where data is gathered to guide the next 40 minutes or so, where students work individually at their own pace, advancing as they understand the content on the computer. And then the last 10 minutes, maybe they come back for some more direct instruction, kind of a summary. Hopefully during this time the teacher gathers data about what was learned to guide what happens the following class period. And finally, if you feel like rotating your students in and out during given times is too rigid, you can do the same thing but at your own discretion. Deliver instruction, gathering data, then the students work individually or in small groups online. They come back to you and maybe they go back online as you see fit. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Here's a brief summary of everything we talked about. Now go out and blend something.